Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to keep moving on through this week's theme of Random Rumble. This time we're checking out Rishloo, I suppose, is how the band's name is pronounced. And the song title is Feathergun, In the Garden of the Sun. Some crazy stuff we got here. All right, so let's get into this one. I don't really have much expectations here because I just have no idea what any of this means. So let's dive in. Yeah, so this main line is a 10-beat phrase, so we're probably looking at something like 5/4. Yeah, very cool timbres too. Oh, introducing some tension. Okay. We move to 4. Yeah, nice little belt there. Yeah, some playful bass. Yeah, nice little halftime. Yeah. Yeah, that juxtaposition between that heavy low end and fading out for the high end guitar line there. Ooh. Yeah, so I thought we changed time signatures because the pulse feels different, but it's still 4. Yeah, the drums just driving so much energy. And trades right off to the bass. No resolution at the end. Just kind of really hanging on to that tense final chord. Um, yeah. So is anybody else getting a? Who is that band? Perfect Circle. I think that's it. I think that's it. Uh, yeah, getting a bit of a Perfect Circle vibe. At least that one song that we checked out. This feels similar to. A lot of it though comes down to what I'd say are their strong points, which I think are the same things I talked about with that song. What is that song? Judith. I think that's the one. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Um, but they share a lot of the same similarities as far as the band's strengths. So yeah, probably gonna have a bit of an overlap with this one if I'm remembering that one correctly. Um, so to me, the strong aspect that really stands out and what elevates their music above other rock songs is really the passion in it. The passion, the dynamics, and the I think that's it. The passion and the dynamics. I think those are the two big driving forces I see here. Um, Everything from the bass, the drums, the guitars, the vocals, everything is delivered with this intensity to it. Even the more subdued parts of the song still have this strength, this aggression to it. And it feels so much that this song, not just the lyrics, but the song means a lot to everybody in the band. There's just so much intensity being injected into the music itself, into each individual melody line, into each individual instrument line, the drum patterns, everything. There is just this oozing aspect of needing to get this song out of them. That just it just bleeds through and makes the entire song feel important. But obviously, for most people who listen to a lot of modern music, uh, the attention to detail, or sorry, the attention, the instrument that gets the most attention is the vocals. I feel like they're the highest in the mix. They get the most uh, ear time. What is the audio equivalent of screen time? The speaker time? I don't know. They get the most amount of spotlight in the track. They're present the most often. They're the most present in the mix, and the vocalist also has this way with his delivery and the way that he can take a simple line, repeat it once. It's not even just a volume thing. It's a full delivery. It's the volume, it's the commitment, it's the punctuation, it's everything, and delivers it lightly and then comes back the next time and it just hits. It some of it's a pitch because he does switch off to sort of a falsetto belt kind of thing. So that definitely changes some of the intensity of the delivery, but it's also the words that he accents, how hard he attacks them, and it's just he has such a way with the words to put forth whatever he's feeling into his music. Just phenomenal. Yeah, and then like I said, just everything else. A lot of the instruments sort of just kind of hold the foundational work for the vocalist to sing over, but there's quite a few parts where a lot of the drive and intensity is passed on to most often I would say would be the drums and the bass. Yeah, the drums and the bass. They tend to have the most attention aside from the vocalist as far as moving the song forward or setting the intensity level or just kind of creating the overall feel and atmosphere of a section. If you're kind of feeling that a section of the song is a bit subdued, or a section of the song is hitting harder than a previous one, or maybe it feels more impactful or passionate, check into the drums and the bass. I guarantee one of them is really pushing it with their accent work and their volume level. Also, you can check into the speed of notes. There is quite a few sections where notes are just kind of held out, and it creates these nice, almost like lengthy platforms, if we're speaking of like a foundational work. But there's also a couple of sections where either the drum or the bass is just busting out some 16th notes and just filling up the space, really driving home the intensity. Almost every note feels like it's accented. Um, and normally that would not work, because then it just sets a new normal and you don't hear the accents anymore. But it's used so irregularly that you can still contrast it with the rest of the song. And so even though every single note is accented and it has created a new normal intensity, or new normal volume, um, we just came out of somewhere that didn't have all these accents, and we're going into something that doesn't have all of them. So we still have the context to keep that in check without it feeling like a new intensity level, like a new floor. So that's pretty cool. Um, Yeah, and then, like I said, drive. This kind of goes into the drive as well. The song just does not stop. It is constantly going, constantly evolving, constantly moving to the next section, and a lot of that just has to do with a very strong forward momentum that you can typically find in the drums and the bass. They're always pushing forward. The guitar tends to act as a sort of counter to the vocals. They don't tend to hit as hard when it comes to intensity or accents, and they do sort of provide some counterpoint occasionally to the vocal work, but it's mixed way lower. So it's kind of difficult to hear it as counterpoint, and instead I tended to hear it as sort of atmospheric work, where yes, there's a strong melody line, but it's not really doing much to embellish or hold up the other melody line, which would be the vocals. It's just kind of sitting there filling space that would otherwise be empty. However, there is one part that it does stand out. I think it's the second repetition. Well, it'd be the first repetition in the chorus. And the drums and bass, their volume gets dropped quite a bit, and the guitar has this climbing pattern. I don't think it was an arpeggiation, but it was, every note was higher than the last as far as um, the note range was. And yeah, and it creates this, because you have this big booming foundation with your drum and your bass. The snare has a nice full tone to it. You got those bass kicks. There's a lot of bassiness to the drums, and then you have your bass guitar really filling out the slower end. And they kind of get dropped a little in the mix, and it feels a little empty. And then you have this guitar line climbing, and then it just comes back in. It punches through again. The drums and the bass do. And I don't know, it's just really good juxtaposition there, and creating the space for the impact of the weightiness of those two instruments, the way that they're mixed and the tones they have. And it's just really cool to hear uh, somebody, maybe it was intentional from the composer, maybe it was an engineering thing. He heard the line and maybe he just felt like the guitar needed to shine through a little bit there. I don't know whose decision that was, but it was the right call to make for sure. Just a little tiny change that just it's good. It's good. And like I said, it really helps the lower end width. We get to hear the song without it, without that punch, and then it just comes back in. And it's really good contrast, and keeps the listener on their toes while presenting sort of an alternate listening of the song. What if we didn't have the engineering like this with the huge bassiness? What if we didn't have these instruments providing the floor? What would that sound like? So yeah, I don't know how all that fits in with the lyrics. As usual, lyrical deconstruction is not something I can do on the fly, even with it in front of me, but I am a little interested in how it all works. I picked up a couple of lines, one of them being something about the shoegaze revolution, and now that I know what shoegaze is, I'm wondering what he meant by that, because this song's not very shoegazy. It kind of reminds me of grunge, which is probably why I enjoyed it. Grunge is one of those weird genres where I've never heard a bad one, but I don't typically go out of my way to listen to it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I love the sound. I guess it's just not something I love enough, but I've never heard a bad one either. So, yeah, let me know. This is where you guys come and know. Those are my thoughts. You guys hit me up in the comments if you enjoyed it or not. Let me know if you hear the a perfect circle resemblance. Maybe that one's just me. And yeah, where else should I go with this? This came out in 2009, so a bit late for the grunge movement, because I think, well, grunge was like late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know if we still had grunge around 2010s. Oh, I mean, I also kind of didn't listen to grunge, as I just admitted, so I guess it's very possible they were still going strong as a genre. But we see a lot of really cool, not revitalizations, but reimaginings almost, with some of these older genres coming back today, even if it's just a few bands trying to resurrect it. The genres obviously made an impact on people, and they're wanting to continue making music like that. So that's really cool. When you're done commenting, you can hit up the description box. There's some links there for stuff adjacent to the YouTube channel, like Patreon or Discord or Twitter. There's also a like, subscribe, and a bell to ring. If you could hit all those three, that'd be fantastic. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual, with more Random Rumble. We just got some random selected stuff all week, which is pretty cool. I barely recognize... Well, I recognize maybe one of the bands that could show up this week. Everything else was completely new to me. As far as the names were. So I think we're in for a good week of some underrepresented or maybe some hidden gems. Really, really excited about this stuff. All right, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.